We have some breaking news live at 9:09. Right now, President Barack Obama has just arrived in Rhode Island for his overnighter in Providence, running a little bit behind schedule tonight by about a half hour, 35 minutes. Good evening. I'm Patrice Wood. A sitting president hasn't stayed overnight here in about 50 years. Right now, we continue our Team 10 coverage of the president's visit. Live pictures of TF Green Airport, where Air Force One has just arrived in Warwick. There you see it, coming down the runway. A perfect night for a landing. Light winds, we're told, warm temperatures. No wonder he wants to visit here. He will eventually leave by motorcade for Providence. He'll be staying at the Omni Hotel in downtown Providence in a very plush suite. Among those greeting him tonight is the Rhode Island delegation. We hear that Senator Jack Reed, David Cicilline, and Jim Langevin, and maybe Sheldon Whitehouse are there. We've learned the president will hold a roundtable discussion at Rhode Island College at 10:15 tomorrow morning before his speech on the state of the economy at Rhode Island College. And there you see Air Force One with the flag on the tail. Olivia Pecto is standing by live at TF Green Airport. Are there any spectators out there tonight, Olivia?
Hey, Patrice. Yeah, Air Force One just taxied down the runway. It actually landed here about 5 minutes ago, which is about 30 minutes later than we originally thought the president would be arriving from Portland, Maine. They are now bringing the stairs up to Air Force One so that the president can get off the plane. We know typically when the president flies into town, they've got a couple other planes with him, but tonight this is the only plane that's arriving at TF Green. And the motorcade, which we walked through to get to the area where they've got us set up over here, is now coming down the runway up to Air Force One so that the president can hop in and head to the Omni Hotel where he'll be staying overnight before his speech at Rhode Island College tomorrow. Like you said, the Rhode Island congressional delegation is here as well. They showed up probably about 10 minutes ago. I think many of them were trying to stay warm until the president got here. We've got David Cicilline, Jim Langevin, Governor Lincoln Chafee, and several others who are all walking across the runway now to go meet the president as he gets off Air Force One here in just a couple of minutes.
And right there you see Air Force One. They have started to move the stairs over to the door. The president will soon be deplaning. In case you're joining us, these are our live pictures of President Barack Obama's visit to Rhode Island. Already a number of roads are closed as he gets ready to go to Providence. We were just taking a look at our traffic cameras throughout the Providence region, and a number of them have been shut down, which is normal when the president visits. You will run into some traffic snarls tonight, whether you're driving or going by bus. They have moved some of the RIPTA routes and stops as well. That started about 7:30 tonight, and that will continue. There you see Governor Chafee, Jack Reed, Sheldon Whitehouse, Jim Langevin, and David Cicilline. So the whole congressional delegation is there tonight to greet the President of the United States. Olivia, are there any spectators out there?
Actually, none that I've seen so far. The security is actually pretty tight out here. And I know, as we told you earlier, about 5 and 6 o'clock, they were doing a security sweep for about 2 hours from 5:30 to 7:30. And we were actually, we had to step back behind the fence here. So really, the only spectators I've seen are just the congressional delegation and Secret Service, obviously. But nobody from the public has really been allowed. And as you might imagine, the security is pretty tight here, especially with some of the breaches in security that they've had at the White House lately. I think they're all kind of trying to keep a tight watch on everything here at the airport.
All right. Joining us now in the studio is James Marone from Brown University. Thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
So we haven't had a sitting president stay overnight for about 50 years, but he isn't the first president to come.
He's not. And the very first president to come was George Washington himself.
No kidding.
Rhode Island was a little slow to ratify the Constitution, and as soon as we did, a couple of months into the Washington presidency, Washington got on a horse, brought his dog Cornwallis, took the whole group from Philadelphia to Providence. He was exhausted when he got here. He went to bed, and they woke him up. They said, "Your Excellency, the students of Brown are gathered. They're holding candles and singing patriotic songs." Washington puts on his clothes and goes up to Brown. Right there at University Hall, they were holding candles, singing, and he made a speech in Providence. First president to visit Rhode Island. There's real history, real pageantry in all these events.
And Dwight D. Eisenhower visited.
And Dwight Eisenhower was in Newport when the Little Rock crisis broke, the 9 children who wanted to integrate Little Rock High, he had the governor of Arkansas, Faubus, come up. They made a deal. Faubus goes back. The deal falls apart. And in Rhode Island, President Eisenhower releases 1,000 troopers to go down and solve the crisis. We were in the heart of the storm then.
Who else has visited? I know that President John F. Kennedy spent a lot of time here. In fact, I think Hammersmith was called the Summer White House. He
got married in Hammersmith, one of the great weddings. This was Jackie Onassis Kennedy's childhood home. So he loved being in Newport, spending summers there. Yes, we're steeped in history, but now it's been a while. So it's a big deal for us.
And we're expecting the president to come through that door any minute, right on cue. He's dressed in a suit tonight. He just came from a fundraiser. He's the kind of president that likes this kind of action. There, you got the salute there. He's greeting the governor and Jack Reed. And we can barely see it because we're looking over a car right there, the limousine that will take him into Providence to the Omni in downtown Providence. David Cicilline is there, and Jim Langevin is there as well. He likes that, though, and I wonder, I don't know if he's going to go directly to the Omni or if he'll do what he's tended to do once in a while. He likes to get out and about. Maybe he'll stop down at, I don't know, Olneyville.
I'm rooting for Haven Brothers. I'm rooting for Haven Brothers. Really get Providence plugged into City Hall. But I'll tell you, he looks happy. He was smiling, and no wonder. Of all the states, we're number 2 in terms of presidential approval rating throughout his time in the White House.
Really?
We're behind Washington, D.C. and Hawaii, 2 places where he's lived. We're number 3, averaging 58%. So, of course he smiles. Of course he comes over and over again. Hang in there, Rhode Island, blue state.
It's really interesting that across the nation, some of the nationwide polls have shown that his approval rating is low, but not here. In fact, some of the candidates have distanced themselves across the nation because of his approval rating or lack of it.
13 states have him over water, that is above 50%, but most of them are in line behind Rhode Island, where, as I say, it's averaged 58%. And it's a big deal because we know in our governor's race, the Raimondo camp has had trouble getting Democrats in line. So he's here to help solidify that base. Wouldn't it work if we were in Arkansas or South Carolina? It could just work in blue Rhode Island.
So you think it will work here?
I don't know, but if it's going to work anywhere, it's going to work here.
And it's interesting also that he has weighed in on the mayoral race in Providence. Isn't that kind of unusual?
Not Boston, not New York, not Los Angeles, but where does he weigh in on a mayoral race? Providence, Rhode Island. You know, when he was elected, we expected him to be an urban president.
We did.
Chicago background and so forth. He hasn't been so much till now. So again, Rhode Island bringing the urban person out of Barack Obama.
That's
kind of fun.
That's interesting. It looks like he's almost ready to get into the limousine there where he will be going to Providence. NBC 10's Brian Crandall is in Providence now outside the Omni. Brian?
Yeah, Patrice, the Providence police have secured West Exchange Street in front of the Omni Hotel, where we expect the president will be staying. And they've also now closed off Sabin Street, which, if you know the area, runs in front of the convention center as well. And they've closed off Francis Street. That all happened, Francis Street and Sabin Street, in the last 15 minutes or so. Up until then, it was, for the most part, business as usual for people in the area. Cars were coming through. Pedestrian traffic was as normal. People could walk right in front of the hotel. People were checking into the hotel. Earlier this evening, we saw the Secret Service setting up metal detectors in the lobby of the hotel. But again, for the most part, people were allowed to do their business. We're being kept on the sidewalk across the street. Again, as Providence police have secured this area, as we're expecting the president to come through. There's a few dozen people out here on the sidewalk with us, hoping to catch a glimpse. I'm assuming that at most we're going to see the motorcade. I don't expect the president to pull up to the front door of the hotel and step outside. I would expect that he would go in some other entrance and whatnot. But again, Providence police are securing this area. Secret Service have been here. We've seen canines a couple hours ago, of course, checking out a couple blocks in this area. A Coast Guard helicopter was overhead a short time ago. Obviously, high security here for now and through the night, again, as the president is expected to stay here until tomorrow morning and depart for Rhode Island College around 10 o'clock to do that roundtable discussion first and then give his remarks there on the economy. Again, this is a trip that was originally planned for 2 weeks ago, but then the president canceled the night before to deal with the Ebola situation, and then last week announced that he would be coming back. The White House has not officially announced that he's staying here at the Omni Hotel, but obviously all signs point to that here. They have actually not said much else about the trip. They haven't responded to any of our questions about it or anything like that. So we'll be here waiting for the presidential motorcade to come by. We'll have the latest for you at 11 o'clock. I'm Brian Crandall. Patrice, back to you.
All right, thank you very much. And there you see the motorcade heading towards Providence. That does it for our live coverage right now. The president has arrived safe and sound in Rhode Island. And there you see Air Force One. We'll be back tonight on NBC 10 News at 11, where our coverage continues.